Tiffin University baseball team has returned back to Ohio after their 8-game Florida trip. Dragons finished 4-4. We're joined by head coach Joe Wilkins. Coach, how we doing?
Awesome, Matt. How you doing?
Not too bad. Like I said, you guys go 4-4 down in Florida. You had your ups and downs, a couple one-run losses. Talk about how you thought the team performed overall over that stretch.
Okay. I would say the biggest thing is we learned a lot about our team. We dropped 2 one-run games to St. Leo. We came out, Luke Fraley pitched a really nice game against them. We lost 1-0. They had a pitcher with the last name of Haight that really kept us off balance. Had a low 3/4 arm angle pitching behind our righties. Tough to see, but we were trying to scrap. We had one opportunity to score and push the envelope a little bit with Kyle Lento trying to score on their right fielder. Made a nice throw home on that one, but lost 1-0. Then we came back and got a few hits in that second game, but lost 6-5. We lost it late. I thought we had them there. We got up early, really competed really well in that game, and our whole lineup had a hit. Basically, I mean, when I say a whole lineup, I mean the hits were spread out. Not everybody had a hit, but I know that the bottom of the order, I know Luke Brust had an RBI, and things were spread out there. But just really competed, lost 6-5, lost it late. So, bullpen stuff and some young guys. But, that's kind of what we want to do when we go down there is figure out what we have. Kind of stings to lose late with young guys, but you got to put them in those situations and see how they react. Then we kind of turn the page and go to Minnesota Duluth, where Michael Boswell was on the mound. Didn't have his best stuff, but only gave up 1 run. So he came out the bullpen. They kind of not let us down, but they didn't do as well as they ended up doing later in the week. Personally, especially Michael Ross didn't have his best stuff in that game, and then he comes back, and we'll talk about the West Virginia Wesleyan game here later. But Braden Callahan had a home run. Noah Hurd had a home run. I think we had double-digit hits in that game. So it was just an offensive day. Then we wake up 9 a.m. game against Mary the next day, and we just weren't ready to play. They had a decent pitcher going on the mound, but we just didn't show up like we should have. They got us 8-4, and then we got them back 12-4. So Johnny Heckman, haven't talked about him yet, but he really kind of came alive in this game. He had a triple and a home run, and just kind of got his week going a little bit more than he had been. Then West Virginia Wesleyan won 9-8. That was an interesting game. Hunter Carson started on the mound for us in that game, and didn't have his best stuff either. The first weekend against Mercyhurst, he was electric, and against Ohio Dominican, he was electric, and we were looking for big things. Maybe we can increase his role a little bit. We're still trying to see what he's going to do for us, but gave him the start against West Virginia Wesleyan, and got down early. We tried to extend our bullpen a little bit in the middle of the game, and that didn't go as well as we had hoped. They had an arm that was keeping us off balance there. And finally we got to Michael Ross when we were down, and we weren't planning on using him until we were, maybe a little bit closer in the game or even up. But it was early enough where, all right, if he keeps us right where we're at, we can come back and make a run. Put him in the game, and he threw lights out. Dalen Miley, I was talking about Michael Ross, but Dalen Miley, he didn't know he was going to pitch in that game, but we were at that point in the trip where, it's all hands on deck, and Coach P asked Dalen, "Hey, can you go if we need you tomorrow?" And he said, "Yeah, sure, I'm ready to go. Just want to play. Just want to get back in there." And then I mentioned to Coach P, I said, "What do you think about throwing Dalen today?" And we kind of got him going, and he ended up getting in there, and he was 87, 89, and good slider, decent curveball, good change, and he competed for us and held him. let Braden do his thing at the end, and we move on to Walsh. And we decided to start Luke Fraley and then bring Brady Ward if we were in the game. If it was close, bring Brady Ward in relief rather than split those two up. So it became more of a game than we had hoped. I mean, John Heckman had 2 home runs. Ryan Thomas had a grand slam. Bats came alive. We were hoping to cruise a little better through that and maybe keep Brady out of there, but they chipped away. They're a good hitting team. Their 2-hitter, Eric Connor, and their first baseman, who had sat behind an all-conference player for 2 years. I mean, the middle of their order is pretty good, and we just couldn't hold them off, and we ended up winning that by 1. Our last game against Embry Riddle, who, I mean, really good team. Their starting pitcher transferred from University of Central Florida. I mean, he was 94, 95 miles an hour with a hard breaking ball, and we came out swinging. We scored 5 runs in the first 3 innings, and our guys weren't scared at all. They accepted the challenge. They said, let's go. We're under the lights in a nice stadium, old historic Sanford Stadium, and under the lights, and they wanted to compete. They wanted to show what they had against a really good pitcher. So we got out 5 runs. We had Aaron George going on the mound, and that was Aaron's first start for us. And slow throwing lefty. His curveball basically breaks from the sky, and they had trouble with him. So we got he got us into the 7th inning with 1 run. They kind of adjusted to him a little bit. So we go to the bullpen, and it just wasn't enough for us on the pitching side of things with some things that we were doing, and their offensive capability really got some good hitters and a potent lineup. But so we lost that one. We ended up losing pretty big on our standards, 13-5. It was a decent trip. Like I said, we learned a lot of things about our team. Learned some do's and don'ts, what we can and can't do. Guys, we can play here, play there, and we might end up still having to do some of those things. But those guys at least got some experience, and we were able to kind of cut our teeth a little bit with some guys getting their first starts or getting their first meaningful innings and getting in those situations where now they know how to react.
You've got another tough task coming up in the University of Indianapolis. They were ranked 14th in the nation as of March 7th. 10-2 overall right now, both those losses by 1 run. What can you tell us about the Greyhounds?
Well, Coach Vaught always has those guys ready to go, and a good program traditionally, and we'll face their top guys. It'll be a weekend for them where they've got pretty much this week off, and it's going to be like a conference weekend for them in the way of pitching. So we'll face their best, but I'm pretty confident in our guys, our top guys, and going in there and putting our best against their best. I mean, when we get in a stretch of 6 or 8 games in 6 days, you never know, what's going to happen, and you're kind of stretched in a little bit. But when we go and this team goes into what will be a conference weekend type scenario, I'll put our guys with anybody.
Coach, we thank you for your time. Best of luck this weekend at Indianapolis. If you would like more information on Tiffin University baseball, you can go to GoTiffinDragons.com. You can find a live stats link there for the games against the Greyhounds this upcoming weekend. Coach, best of luck, and we'll do it again next week.
All right. Thanks, Matt.